In my shop today to give you an update on the little hatchet that I bought. I did a video a little while back of this thing, and I've soaked it in vinegar and cleaned it up. I was able to get most of the damage out of the back of it. The head was so loose I could just about pull it off with my hands without tapping it on anything. And by the way, I did not make a new handle, not yet anyway. I was able to drive a wedge in there, and then a step wedge, and it's pretty tight. It'll work for now. And let's go down here and notice on the handle, I cleaned the handle down, cleaned it up and sanded it down, and it had a real bad gouge if you remember, and I took my draw knife and cleaned that up. I think it turned out pretty nice. Let me get it in the light. Didn't have to take too awful much off of it, but I've got about 5 or maybe 6 coats of boiled linseed oil on it, and I think that's just a beautiful handle. It really wasn't in too bad a shape except for this end, and on this end where it comes through, still not the most happy with that, but if it holds, don't axe head going flying somewhere. But I'm very happy with the way it turned out. Sharpened it up. It sharpened really nicely. I was making a little bit of kindling the other day with it, trying it out, and it feels good. Feels nice in the hand. So I wanted to show you that. Let me go ahead and show you some of the tools that I bought from this fella. I mentioned my draw knife, and I'd always wanted one. And he had this draw knife. I gave him about 20 bucks, a little over $20 for it. Handles are in so-so shape. The blade is in real good shape, at least I believe it is. It has one little nick in it right there. But you know, I'm not too concerned about that because who's cutting out there anyway? I need to clean this up and sharpen it good. It can cut, but it needs to be sharpened. He also had a Stanley wood plane, and I've always wanted one of these. I gave him, I think it was $10 for this. I gave him 4 for the hatchet, I believe it was. I gave him 10 for this, and it's in real good shape. I cleaned it up. Had a little bit of corrosion on the bottom. Love it when the batteries die. Let's see, where was I? My Stanley wood plane. It was in pretty good shape. I took the blade out and cleaned it up and sharpened it the best I could. And this handle was loose. And I took the screw, it's got a screw that runs down through it, took it out and had just a little bit of rust on it, cleaned it up, put it back, and it was still loose. So I put a washer under it and it tightened it up. I've used this several times now, and it's a really great tool. I really enjoy using that. Got a pretty good deal in it, I think, for the condition. Let me show you something I've been working on, my project here. I've always wanted to make my own axe handles and stuff, and have done a little bit, but I've wanted a shave horse, and it's about 99%. I've got to tweak a few things on it. I saw a pattern of this on another YouTube channel, and my brother had some 2-inch, it was like 1 7/8 oak, and somebody gave it to him, and it was in decent shape. And I cut it in half. I didn't even use half of the board. And had a friend of mine that I didn't want to do it all by hand, so I took it to a friend who had a rip saw, and we We cut it to the dimensions. I made the legs out of oak. They're square cut, and I just drilled and doweled, put a 1 inch, I think it's a 1 inch, or 7/8 dowel pin through. And I hand planed the surface of this. Let me show you the board. That's what it looked like. And it's rough sawn. And so I made everything out of oak. The only bolt through it is right there that holds the clamping mechanism on. And I've got to finish. I misaligned. That ain't easy. That's not hard for me to do, but I missed drilling through this side. The holes don't quite line up on this side, and so I'm going to take a round rasp and kind of clean it out and drive that on through. And what I did was just make a piece of block, and let me get around here and I'll show you what I've done. The one I saw had an eye bolt in there, and I didn't want to use an eye bolt, so what I did was put me a 1 inch dowel through, and then I did run a screw in there, and I think I'm going to take that screw back out. I've got a piece of 3/8 dowel, and I'm going to slide that in there and hold that in. I think that'll do fine. It's a 3/8 oak, or yeah, 3/8 oak dowel. So I've used this a little bit. You see the piece I got in there, that was some leftover. I was just playing. That oak's it's pretty tough wood. That, and I need to sharpen my draw knife. But I've always wanted one of these, and so I decided that I was going to make me one, and I have absolutely nothing in this. Everything that the wood was given to me. I didn't have to buy any hardware or anything. So that's just a little bit of the projects I've had going on and some of the new tools I've bought. And I'm waiting for winter to come on. It's be fall here before you know it, and I'll be able to put my little hatchet to use making more kindling. I really like this thing. The one that I had was one that you buy from Lowe's, and I like the shape of the handle and the size of it, but it's an okay. It held a pretty good edge, but it dulls kind of easy. What I did was strip the blue paint off of this thing. If you've ever seen them in Lowe's, they're painted blue. And I stripped it down and coated it real good with boiled linseed oil. And man, it feels good in your hand. But I like this new one. You can see how much bigger the head is. This one I think's £1.25 is what it says on it. And you can see the difference. No comparison at all. And so for making kindling, I tell you, that thing really, it works great. It feels good in your hand. Alright, I've gone on long enough. Hope you enjoy this little bit of video, and more projects to come.